2015. Well, folks, the Supreme Court must be going on recess here real soon because they've been really busy this week. Now, I normally tape on Friday, and as of this taping, they made a decision on gay marriage. Now, as I look at my notes, the plaintiff in this case, Jim Oberfeld, down in Cincinnati, he decided to challenge a case on a partner that had died, and then we got all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has made a ruling. Now, they decided in a 5-4 decision that
the Supreme Court affirms what millions across this country already know to be true in our hearts. Our love is equal. That the 4 words etched onto the front of the Supreme Court, equal justice under law, apply to us too. All Americans deserve equal dignity, respect, and treatment when it comes to the recognition of our relationships and families. Now, at long last, Ohio will recognize our marriage, and most important, marriage equality will come to every state across our country. It's my hope that the term gay marriage will soon be a thing of the past, that from this day forward, it will simply be marriage, and our nation will be better off because of it.
And we're so happy that when we return home today, that our marriage is recognized just the same as our neighbor's marriage is recognized.
Yeah, and we are so proud and thankful to be a part of this case and be a part of, the historic movement that this is.
now I'm with him all the way on this. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this today. It's all over the interweb, so you can find anything you want to see. Now, even the president made a statement about this as of this taping a couple of hours ago. Here's exactly what he said on this subject.
There's so much more work to be done to extend the full promise of America to every American. But today we can say, in no uncertain terms, that we've made our union a little more perfect. That's the consequence of a decision from the Supreme Court, but more importantly, it is a consequence of the countless small acts of courage of millions of people across decades.
Well, folks, I wanted this to happen really, really, really bad. Now, in the Reuters articles I read, this is actually based off the Loving versus Virginia decision. Now, for those of you who are young, probably don't know what that is. All the way back in 1967, the Loving versus Virginia case has to do with interracial marriage. Now, from that decision on, you can see the effects all over the place in this country. And I'm surprised it got to a 5-4 split decision. If they're going to base it on that, this should have been unanimous. Now, that's just my personal opinion on that. Now, since it's upheld in all 50 states, I'm not totally sure for our states what they can do. I don't know if some states will uphold the federal law. I don't know that they'll pull the states' rights card. I'm not totally sure because every state is set up different. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with that. And believe me, down the road, you might see something in Congress about this, but I highly doubt it. But stay tuned on what could happen. Well, folks, we're back in the second segment. Now, something else happened this week. It actually has to do with the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Now, the Supreme Court this week also ruled on that. Now, it says, I look at my notes, it says that it gives low and moderate income of the population access to the subsidies in all 50 states. Now, this is good. I continue to look at my notes, is that I'm surprised it's actually gotten this far. Now, the gentleman from the Brookings Institute actually spoke about this back early in the week, and let's look exactly what he said.
This was a major decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that will have very important implications for the future of the U.S. healthcare system and also for the future of American politics. The Affordable Care Act, popularly known as Obamacare, has been challenged politically, it's been challenged constitutionally, and now it's been challenged as a matter of statutory interpretation. It has survived those three tests. And what that means is that, for better or for worse, this healthcare reform is now thoroughly embedded in the American healthcare system and the American society more generally. And the next president, even if it's a Republican, will have a very, very difficult time reversing that fact. Today's Supreme Court decision, I think, confirms that the Affordable Care Act will be part of the president's legacy. Now, whether it's regarded as a positive or negative piece of legacy depends on things that we haven't seen yet, how it will play out over time, whether it actually restrains the growth of healthcare costs once the economy fully recovers.
Now, he's absolutely right. Down the road, I'm not totally sure what's going to happen, but my thing has always been this. If they upheld the legality of it a couple of years ago, why even bring it back around the table? I mean, this law, the Supreme Court ruled on it, just move on. It should never gotten this far. Now, the president this week also spoke about this, and here he is in the Rose Garden with Vice President Biden.
But as the dust has settled, there can be no doubt that this law is working. It has changed and in some cases saved American lives. It set this country on a smarter, stronger course. And today, after more than 50 votes in Congress to repeal or weaken this law, after a presidential election based in part on preserving or repealing this law, after multiple challenges to this law before the Supreme Court, the Affordable Care Act is here to stay. This morning, the court upheld a critical part of this law, the part that's made it easier for Americans to afford health insurance regardless of where you live. If the partisan challenge to this law had succeeded, millions of Americans would have had thousands of dollars worth of tax credits taken from them. For many, insurance would have become unaffordable again. Many would have become uninsured again. Ultimately, everyone's premiums could have gone up. America would have gone backwards. And that's not what we do. That's not what America does. We move forward. So today is a victory for hardworking Americans all across this country whose lives will continue to become more secure in a changing economy because of this law.
Well, folks, like I said, it should have never gotten this far. Now, people who followed me for a very long time they knew my issue was how you going to pay for it. And I'm going to say this. I actually figured it out. You got to go back to the 80s to supply side economics, or the so-called supply side. It was just done in reverse. You glut the market with enough people, of course the prices don't come down. But that's besides the point. I'm happy for everybody for having insurance. They found a way to do it. So let's move on to the bigger fish to fry in this country, to this. Well, folks, we're in the last segment of the show. As you know, next week is July 4th. Now, there'll be no show next week, but I'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay tuned as far as that. Like I said, the quickies, once I get set up with the actual software that I need, should be starting up back here real soon. So you'll see that every single day. Well, let me rephrase that. Not every day, be Monday through Thursday. And the show will still be taped on Friday to be seen on Sunday. Well, folks, that is it for the show this week. I thank you for watching, and be careful, and remember, feel the ring.